Hello, I'm Rich Marantz of Green Mountain Tai Chi. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the concept of crossing the Great River in Tai Chi Chuan practice. This is the idea of yin and yang in the body. When somebody is a beginner in Tai Chi, one of the first things they learn is Wu Ji posture. So standing in this posture, we have an even distribution of weight in the legs. So 50-50, and this is an important practice to have because you cannot understand 70-30 or 90-10 or 100% weight if you don't understand even weight. So this is a very important posture to practice in. You can do this in standing meditation or just standing like this or in many postures, but the idea is even weight. So I'm evenly distributed as Wu Ji posture. The first movement in the Tai Chi form after preparation is to transfer the weight from one leg to the other. So this is the first thing somebody may learn, is the idea of yin and yang. So here we have no yin and yang, we have Wu Ji. As soon as we begin to move, we now have Tai Chi. We have Tai Chi. So now this leg is emptying, right? It's no longer going to carry as much weight, and this one is going to start carrying more weight. So it's going to begin to fill. Another term that's used often is substantial, insubstantial. So now I have more weight on this leg and less weight on this leg. But it's not just about the weight, it's also the mind intent. So it's as if like an hourglass where one is filling and the other is emptying at the same time. So as this one is emptying, this one is filling. This is a very basic beginner concept. One fills, one empties. So then I transfer my weight, this empties, this fills, now this fills even more, this empties more. So if I'm picking this leg up, this has to be, in my mind, completely empty. I cannot come here, transfer my weight, partly empty this leg, partly fill this leg, and then lift this one. Because then this is not truly empty. Because in my mind, I'm still holding on here. So this is a basic concept, and we learn it in the legs first. But what about the upper body? So what we want to learn to do is to cross the Great River. So as I'm transferring my weight from this leg to this leg, so this is emptying, this one is filling. If I fill this arm, now I am double weighted. I'm exaggerating it right now. So I'm full here, I'm full here. It's as if I'm going to topple over. However, if I think of the Chung channel, which runs from the perineum, the Hui Yin, up through the crown of the head, the Bai Hui, runs right up through the center of the body. If I look at that line, that meridian, and I move to my left here, I'm filling this, empty this, everything on this side, the opposite side, is going to fill. Everything on this side is going to empty in equal amounts of what's happening in my legs. So now I'm in about a 70-30 stance. So now this is 70% filled, this is 70% empty. So I can now be very balanced. My Chung channel can stay vertical. As opposed to 70% filled, 70% filled, my Chung channel is now leaning over. That whole body is going to pull me over, or that whole weight is going to pull me over. So as I transfer here in my legs, I'm also transferring here at the same time. So I'm filling my right side as I empty, as I fill my left side, and vice versa. So it's like an X. There's always like an X running through the body. It's called crossing the Great River. So now as I transfer to my right leg, the weight to my right leg, my left arm is now filling and my right arm is now emptying. So when I come here and I'm standing on one leg, this is very light, this is very heavy, this is light, this is heavy. So now when I step and I transfer this energy in my lower body, I'm also transferring the energy in my upper body. So this is now light because this is heavy. This is light, this has got to be heavy. Okay, so this is called crossing the Great River. So the idea is to practice this when you're in your postures, not during your transition. So when you're in your ward-off posture, pause there in your form and notice it in your legs and notice it in your arms. Then at the beginning, don't worry too much during transitions You get to your posture and then find full and empty in the upper body, lower body, and make sure that you have this X happening. And then it becomes easier to do as you go through your transitions. Now, it's not just the arms and the legs. What about the torso? The torso is very important because that's really where our movements are coming from. They're generated from the ground through the legs, but it comes from the waist, right? So the torso is very important here. We want to have whole body movement. So as I say, step into my ward-off left, my left leg is full, my right leg is empty, or substantial, insubstantial, which means that my forward arm is empty. Now this whole side of my torso, again, thinking of that Chung channel, everything on that side of my Chung channel, the way I see it is that that energy becomes very diffuse. Okay, the energy becomes very diffuse because we don't have the ability to actually carry the weight. In the legs it's easier because we're actually having to engage those muscles to hold us up. So we can feel the weight on that leg. We can feel the pressure underneath our legs. But in the arms, they can feel identical. We don't want them, that's double weighted. We don't want them to feel identical. So what I do is if this leg is full, this whole side of my body, front, back, the whole side of my body becomes very diffuse. The right side of my body, because my right leg is empty or less full, becomes very condensed energy. So I feel that energy condensing and getting very heavy because density equals mass, which equals weight, right? So that idea that now this part of my torso becomes very dense. This part of my torso becomes very light. The arms will just go along what your torso is telling it to do. So say I do roll back on this side. As I'm transferring this weight, now this is becoming denser. This is starting to diffuse. So I'm doing my roll back, I'm here in my roll back, very diffuse here because this is very dense. Very diffuse here, very dense here. Right? So I've crossed, again, that X. And now say I turn and I'm going to come into my press posture. Very dense, very diffuse. Very diffuse, very dense. And now as I come forward, that's changing. So now this is starting to diffuse, this is starting to get very dense. So now when I come here in my press, this is the energy that's bringing this forward, but I'm balanced in the process. So again, it's that idea of being able to change. So we're always going from that point of that Chung channel, that line that runs right up through the center of the body. So everything if you almost think of it as quadrants. So on the lower side quadrant, this side is dense and full and substantial. The opposite side has to be the same. And then it's this way. If this quadrant is light and empty and insubstantial, this quadrant also has to be. So in a way you can think of the body as quadrants, and we're always going diagonal across. This helps us maintain our balance. This is a great exercise to practice with a partner where you get into a static posture. Say you get into press, right, or ward off and have them push in on you in a static posture. Try it where this whole side, half, this hemisphere is full, this hemisphere is empty, and then do it in the X quadrants, the crossing of the Great River, and see if you notice a difference. It's a great exercise, and I've never seen anybody not see the difference in it. So this is called crossing the Great River. We want to always have this feeling of an X. We diffuse energy, we condense energy. If you practice it from the torso, the arms will just go along with it, right? It will express itself out into your arm. But you can, at the beginning, practice it just in your arms, in the static postures, and then start playing with it in your transitions. That was the process that I went through in developing this and understanding it and learning it. Is I started it in my legs, went into my arms, went into the torso, and now it's the feeling, it's always whole body, that all four quadrants are one piece of a whole. So again, we're always looking for that idea of whole body movement in a very balanced way that can transitions from yin to yang smoothly. And this is part of our practice in Tai Chi Chuan. So I hope you enjoyed this video, that you find it useful. If you have any questions, feedback, or comments, you can contact me at greenmountaintaichi.com. And I wish you peace, good health, and happiness.